Okay, now that we've worked on all of the the valves, we're gonna work on the slides now. So you're gonna need to get this little tube. It looks like chapstick. It should be called slide grease. You're gonna wanna pick that up, okay? Again, mine looks a little different just because I've used a bunch of different stuff and this is what I prefer as a musician right now, but yours works just as good. One thing to note is with the slides, anytime you take a slide out, you want to push down the corresponding valve to that slide, all right? So let's say you're wanting to take out this slide right here. Now this is called the first valve slide because it is attached to the first valve. So anytime you take out this slide, you want to push down the first valve. Now if you don't do that, it makes this popping sound. And even though that's kind of fun to hear, it's not very good for the instrument, okay? So we want to equalize the pressure in the trumpet. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push down that first valve, and then you want to take off the valve, or the slide, I'm sorry. You want to take out the slide. Now, one thing you might notice about the slide is there's going to be parts that are a little more rough and not shiny. Those are the parts that we want to put our slide grease on, all right? Some of them might be attached to the instrument, and some of them might be attached to the slide. We want to oil both of those or grease both of those. Now, when you take yours, you're just gonna put a little bit of grease, which again looks kind of like chapstick, on your finger, and then you're gonna rub it all over that part that is not shiny, okay? And then once you have finished with that, you're gonna push down your valve, and then you're going to put the slide very carefully, again, not to push things if they're not going right away. Put it back in, and then you can push your valve back up, all right? So go ahead and do your first valve slide. Pause and go ahead and do your first valve slide. Okay, and now that I've hoped that you've done the first valve slide, I want you to do the second valve slide as well. This one's a little bit more challenging to get out, so if you cannot get it out right away, that's okay. I can help you figure out a way to do that. But if you are able to, you're gonna push down that middle valve. You're gonna take this little tiny guy and you're gonna pull it out. And then you're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on these rough parts right here. When you're putting this back in, this little knob faces out, all right? And one other little note that I have for this specific thing is when we set our trumpet down on a chair or a table or whatever we're setting it on, we never wanna set it on top of that second valve, the second slide, because it will actually dent it. So you want to make sure you're setting it so the second slide faces the ceiling, okay? Go ahead and pause the tape and go ahead and do the second slide and second valve slide, and then we'll do the next ones after that. Okay, so we're gonna do the third valve slide next, which is the one that we use the most. You might need to go ahead and unscrew this all the way and set it in a safe spot before you can take it all the way off. Once you take it all the way off, you can unpush that third valve and then go ahead and grease the parts that are not shiny. Once you finish that, push down the third valve and then go ahead and put that back in, and then grab those little twisties and twist them back on your little slide, okay? So go ahead and pause the tape and do that one real quick. Okay, and now let's do the final one. This one obviously I think is the easiest one, and you don't have to push any valves down during this one, okay? So we use the third valve slide a whole lot. We also use the tuning slide a whole lot. So I want you to just take this and take it all the way out. Now mine's gonna look a little different. Mine is a reverse lead pipe. Yours should have the not shiny side on both sides of the tuning slide. And I want you to go ahead and grease those. And once you have done that, make sure you put this back in very carefully and make sure that the water key or spit valve that's right here is facing the ground and not the ceiling, okay? So make sure you go ahead and put that in properly. Once you have done that, we have completed oiling and greasing the entire instrument. So good job. We'll have another video here in a second just to kind of go over the last things.